Okay. Daf Hashavua Chaf Aleph on the base. 2 dots. Hani Shlosha Keneged Mi. B'Sheni B'Chamish B'Shabbos Mincha Koren Shlosha. On Monday and Thursday and the Shabbos by Mincha, you read how many aliyos? 3 aliyos. 3 people get up, they read from the Torah. Hani Shlosha Keneged Mi. Why 3? What does the 3 aliyos correspond to? Amar Avasi Keneged Torah Nevi'im Uksub. Corresponds to Torah, Nevi'im, and Ksub. Rabba says, Keneged Kohanim, Levi. Oh, Moshe, we just started. I'm going to start again. From Moshe Kleber, present. Doesn't mean you guys don't have titles either. When you come, we'll call you something else. Let's start again. 2 dots. B'Sheni B'Chamish B'Shabbos B'Mincha Koren Shlosh. On Monday and Thursday, you want to? Oh, you want? On Monday and Thursday of Shabbos, Mincha, we read 3 people have aliyahs. Hani Shlosha Keneged Mi. What is the 3 correspond to? Omer Avasi Keneged Torah Nevi'im Ksub. It corresponds to Torah Nevi'im Ksub. Rabba Amar Keneged Kohanim Levi'im Yisrael. It corresponds to Kohanim, Levi'im, and Yisrael. Ask the Gemara. Wait a minute. If you hold that it corresponds, so then what do the 10 psukim that we lay? We always lay 10 psukim with 3 aliyahs, at least 10 psukim. Except Tosa says. Except there's one time we lay 9 psukim. Perfect. Because that's the complete topic, right? Tosa says, so that's, we could lay 9 psukim. Allah the Tani, Rav Shimi, ain't posting me yud psukim. Yeah, you can't do less than 10 psukim with when you lay the Beis HaKnesses. So Vayidabra Olam and when you have a Vayidabra Shema Moshe Lemor, or similar, that's part of the 10. Hani Asar Keneged Mi. What are these 10 psukim corresponding to? Rabbi Shua ben Levi says, Keneged Asar Batlanim. This corresponds to the 10 Batlanim. Beis HaKnesses that go there when we make sure there's a minyan. Rabbi Yosef says, Keneged Asar Sadir Rosh Shenemru Moshe B'Sinai corresponds to the Asar Sadir that Moshe said at Har Sinai. That was said to Moshe at Har Sinai. Now the next line is in parentheses questionable whether or not we say it. Reb Levi Amar Keneged Asar Elulin Shamar David say V'Dillim. There's 5 halukas that start with halukah and end with halukah. There's 10 of them, but it doesn't seem like that's our gerson. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Rabbi Yochanan says Keneged Asar Mamor Shebehen Nivra. With the 10 utterances, the Vayomers that are said in Nivra Olam when Hashem created the world. Hainiu. So if you look, it says it starts off Pasuk Gimel Vayomer Elokim, Pasuk A. Pasuk Vav Vayomer Elokim, Vayomer Pasuk Tes Vayomer Elokim. That's 3. Pasuk Yud Aleph Vayomer Elokim, Pasuk Yud Aleph Vayomer Elokim. I'm not keeping count, so I'll just keep on going. Pasuk Chav Vayomer Elokim, Pasuk Chav Daled Vayomer Elokim. So these are the. But if Pasuk Chavav Vayomer Elokim. So if you count them, there's only 9 actually. So that's what Gemara is about to ask. It's saying, so it's connected to 10 Vayomers. So if you ask the Gemara that Shebehen Nivra Olam Hainiu Vayomer D'Bereshis Hani Tisha. I'm sorry, Vayomer D'Bereshis. The Vayomers of Bereshis. Correct the Gemara. Hani Tishav. If you count them up, there's only 9 Vayomers. Says Gemara Bereshis Nami Maimerhu. With the pasuk of Bereshis Ba'Elokim as Shemai V'Saaretz is also a Vayomer. It's considered a Vayomer. The Chsid B'Dvar says until B'Dvar Hashem Shemai Nasu, with the word of Hashem created heaven. U'Baruach Bid Kol Tzva. So B'Dvar Hashem. So it's a Maimer. The Bereshis Ba'Elokim as Shemai V'Saaretz is also considered a Maimer of Hashem. The Mefarshim will speak out why it doesn't say Vayomer there, and why we're learning that from B'Dvar Hashem Shemayim Nasu. Amar Rava Rishon Shekara Dalid Yeshua. The first one that reads 3 aliyos. 1 aliyah has to be what? It's not even, right? So 1 aliyah is going to have to be how many? 4. You have 3, 3, and 4, or 4, 3, and 3, or 3, 4, and 3. So says the Gemara. Amar Rava Rishon Shekara Dalid Meshubach. The first one that reads, if he reads 4 psukim, he's praiseworthy. Sheni Shikar Dal Meshubach. He's also praiseworthy. The second one. The first one only comes up and they used to read their own aliyah. So if the first one only reads 3, let's say he's in a rush, he's going home, and the fourth, and the next one comes in and reads 4, he's Meshubach, he's praiseworthy. Shlishi Shikar Dalid, if they both, the first 2 don't, and the third one does, Meshubach, he's Meshubach. And the Gemara is going to prove, how do we know that the first one's important enough, that he's praiseworthy to do it? How do we know the second one is, and how do we know the third one? It's interesting that the Gemara is going to have to bring proofs from that. Why can't they just be a good thing to come and lane 4? You see that you have to be worthy to be praiseworthy. You have to be worthy you have to be important enough to be praiseworthy. You can't just do things that are not at you where you are or your importance. That's what it sounds like in the Gemara. Rishon Shigar Dalad Meshubach, the first one that reads Dalad, if he does it, he's Meshubach. It's not. How do we see that it's important to go first? The Tanan, because it says in a Mishnah that when they gave the Machzah Shekel, so they used to give it every year, the Machzah Shekel, and we used to take 3 times a year for Karbanos. So they used to have these baskets, and they used to write on the basket, Aleph, Beis, Gimel, so that the people who gave first, we took from their money, because it's much more chashuv to give first, to be the first ones. The Tanan, the Sholosh Kupos, 3 baskets, Sholosh Soim, 3 Soim, Tarmin, the Bach takes out the word Shohen, Tarmin es halishchas, and then they would take off. They would use the money es halishcha from the lishcha, from the chamber in the base of Megillah. Vayikos v'aleim, they wrote on it Aleph Beis Gimel. Leida ezem nishum harishon, to know who gave first. Lahakriv men harishon, to take from it first. Shem mitzvah barishon, because it's a special mitzvah to be first. So you see that the one who reads first has a good position. So therefore, if he reads 4, he's worthy. He's praiseworthy. And soy shikar abba meshubach. The middle person that reads 4, if he reads 4 psukim, he's also worthy of that. The Tanya, because we learned in a brayso, El mulpnei menorah ya'iru. It says there's different shitos in the Gemara Menachos of how the menorah was set up. So one of the shitos hold that the candles were the one on one side, the wicks were situated toward the center, and then the one on the other side was situated toward the center one. They were both situated toward the center one, from north to south, and the center one was then facing more toward the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So the Gemara says that middle one that was faced toward Kodesh HaKadoshim, we see it, the middle one's chashuv. Says the Mishnah. The Tanya, the Brayso. El mulpnei menorah, toward the menorah, toward the face of the menorah, ya'iru. It burned bright. Ya'iru. It was light. You see that they used to turn the wicks toward the Ner Maravi, toward the western Ner, the middle Ner. The Ner Maravi Klapi Shechina. And the Ner Maravi, the wicks toward. They used to have the wick in the cup. The wick would be toward the Kodesh HaKadoshim Klapi Shechina. The Ner Maravi Klapi Shechina. So you see that what? Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yochanan says. From Rav Nassim, he says in the Masoras Hashas, Rav Nassim, Mikan Shem Soy Meshubach. We see that the middle one is very praiseworthy. So we see the middle person also in Aliyah is praiseworthy. Va'achon Shakar and Abba Meshubach, the last guy that reads, the last person is, if he reads 4, he's Meshubach. Mishum Mal Lakodesh V'lo read it, because you go up in holiness and not down. Therefore, if he's the last one he's doing more, that's a chashva thing. Rav Papa, it doesn't say as much about Rav Papa. Rav Papa came to the shul, the Beit Kinishta, the Avi Gober of Avi Gober, the Kara Rishon Arvin. He read first 4 psukim. Mishabche Rav Papa, and Rav Papa was Mishabech. Says the Gemara, the last Gemara. Ein Posim Ram. No, 2 more Gemaras. Ein Posim Ram Nosibin. You don't read more than 3. You don't do more than 3 aliyos during the week. And on Shabbos and Mincha, Tana, we learned that the first one only says a pasuk at the beginning, the fanel beforehand, take a bagel, and the one who finishes off makes a bracha afterwards, So in today's day and age, every person who gets Aliyah has a bracha before, has a bracha after. They used to be that the first person who did a bracha and the last person, in between they didn't. Well, Idna, says the Gemara, now the Kuli Mavarach Manel, even the times the Gemara was like that everyone makes a bracha before and after. Why? I mean, time of why they changed it to Takina Rabbanan, that the Rabbanan were misakin it, were establishing Gzeira as a Gzeira Mishum Anachnas Mishum Ayotzim. Anyone that comes early and leaves late, they're not going to know that there's halacha that what? They're not going to know that there's halacha that. They're not going to know that there's halacha that you have brachos before the first one and after. Let's say a guy comes in late. He's going to hear there's a bracha at the end of the last aliyah. He's not going to know that there was a bracha at the beginning. Or if a guy comes leave, or if he leaves early, he's going to hear that there's a bracha before. He's not going to know there's a bracha after. So therefore, we made up that you do it like that. Now, maybe next time he won't be late or leave early. So I guess, I don't know. We always have the same schedule, similar. There's people with the same schedule. Says the Gemara, the last two dots. Now, for the next thing, you need to know Rosh Chodesh Leini. The setup is as follows. On Rosh Chodesh, we have three different parts of Rosh Chodesh Leini. Sabbath B'nai Yisrael Amar Talem is Kavani Lachmi Lisha. That's 8 psukim. Then it says Uyom HaShabbos. That's 2 psukim. And then the final paragraph is Uvarashe Chad Sheichem is 5 psukim. So Rosh Chodashim, Rosh Chad Sheichem. Rosh Chad Sheichem is 5 psukim. So now the problem is like this: you have to have every aliyah has to have at least 3 psukim. You could have more, but you also can't finish off a paragraph and leave 2 psukim over. And so therefore the Gemara is going to have problems with how you split up these. You have 4 aliyahs on Rosh Chodesh. So how do you split up the psukim? Says the Gemara, and then we finish. Last 2 dots. Parshas Rosh Chodesh Ketzad. How do you split up the Parshas Rosh Chodesh? Timnaya, there's 8 psukim, Timnaya psuki. Hechinaber, what are you going to do? Nikri trade plots of psukim. If each of the first 2 aliyahs are going to read 3 pashulei trade, there's only going to be 2 psukim left. You're not allowed to finish off without having 3 psukim. Pachas mishosh psukim. Nikri abba, if you read the first 2 aliyahs 4-4, finish that whole parsha of Eskabel Yachmi. Pashulo Shiva. Now there's left over 7. Yom HaShabbos have a trade. The next paragraph to Yom HaShabbos is 2. Rosh Chodeshechem Avi Chamisha. And Rosh Chodesh, the last paragraph is 5. So what are you going to do with that? Eichin Eben. Nikri Trei Meha B'chad Mehanech. If the third aliyah is going to read Yom HaShabbos 2 psukim and 1 from Rosh Chodeshechem. I just went up to Chavez Lanal for a minute. Ein Maskil Parsha B'chas Mishosh Psukim. You can't start a parsha less Pachos Mei Shlosha Psukim. So therefore, if you're going to read 2 from 1 B'chad Mehanech, you can't start the new Psukim of Rosh Chodeshechem without reading 3. You have to read at least 3 from the new parsha. Likri Trei Me'al Tlos Me'ach. So if you're going to read 2 from the Yom HaShabbos and read 3 from the next paragraph, Pashalo Trei, you're only going to be left with 2. Amalo, he said back in Lo Shemati Yotzveh. I didn't hear anything about this, but I'm sorry, Lo Shemati, Zu Lo Shemati. I didn't hear about this, but Kayotzvah Shah Mati. But I heard something similar. Have a wonderful, wonderful.